Hello, hello. We're back.
All right, looks like we have CSM versus CU Boulder starting off the pick ban phase. Jinx first ban today.
And apologies for the delay. We had a raffle going on, so we had some extra time in between our last game. And now
They had a lot of cool stuff. They had like a laptop bag. They had a bunch of those Riot action figures that they had.
some Gary and Darius and Thresh
Some
figures.
kind of honorable mention trophies going out. Some nice options.
We're seeing very strong disengage being banned by both teams so far. Ivern, Jinx, and Zyra are all very typical front to back champions, so seeing those go down, they don't want to be playing anything front to back on either side. There we go. Finally, people know to ban Lilia. That's what I've been saying all day. That champ's not okay. 2 items, she just runs down the game. And Syndra as well.
Sidra ban. Sidra's been very strong recently. Just has so much burst capability. How do you think the tournament's been so far?
Pretty interesting. So, a decent bit of one-sided games, but some other ones that were pretty hard fought. But that's what happens when you have such a mix of skill groups. We see, yeah, both teams just opted to ban things that are very strong in front to back. We have Ezreal going first as well.
Do you think the likelihood is we see a Hui pick today?
We did see a Hui picked earlier, actually. What was it? It wasn't CSM, I don't think, or was it?
I always like to
No.
see how the new champ does. Some people they try it out and they excel early, and other people, it takes them a little bit longer to wrap their head around the character and the kit. So I always kind of wonder where that curve
Yeah, we
lies.
saw a Hui bot with a Nautilus support, and they were doing decent, but that game kind of fell apart quick. The red side had a very aggressive early game and just kind of snowballed the game out. Yeah, we're seeing Ezreal, a very safe pick. They just buffed him. A lot of his AD scaling just went up like crazy with the last patch, and every time they buff AD skill, they did it like they did on Aatrox and Riven. You just see them immediately skyrocket to the best character in the game, or one of the best. But we see Caitlyn Milio, a very oppressive lane, very far range, and just with the empowered autos from Milio, you can just poke the lane. But Ezreal Karma has been a patch favorite bot lane. You see it all the time. They also just have so much poke and sustain, and they're so safe. It's hard to do anything against them. It's a very safe bot side. We also see the Corki mid. Riot has expressed that they want to keep Corki kind of out of meta because they think he kind of ruins team play. But the Malignance being in the game, his synergy with building that and Eclipse has been very, very strong. Because every fire of his rock hit with his R, he procs both Maligmas and Eclipse.
We have a Nico pick here. I have a personal soft spot for Nico. One of our friends, actually, this tournament organizer, has been on a tear with Nico lately, and there's just something about forcing your opponent to count those minions that just really, really breaks down their gameplay.
Yeah, not even that. Her R is just really, really good for team fights. It's a massive
Mm-hmm.
nuke, so much area covered. When she builds Rocket Belt and Flash, she can just get in on the backline and just force a fight immediately. And once you get Zonias as well, you can't really punish her afterwards. So it's a really good fight start and follow up for a lot of comps. But definitely a lot of the damage profile has already been picked for CU Boulder, but CSM also has a decent damage profile. So we're going to see what kind of front lines, if there are any, round out these comps and see what kind of full identity they want to look for. We do see the Poppy ban from CU Boulder. They want to stop some engage from or disengage from CSM. They want to be able to get on this backline, get that Nico ult off, and not be stuffed out by things like Poppy W or Shen Peel. Right, CSM is opting more for engage reset characters, so they're kind of denying the identity of trying to pick off solo people for CU Boulder, but they might not be looking to take the angle at all, and they might be going for something more of just a big kind of wombo combo with, maybe a big engage ult from something like a Malphite, Maokai, or even a Cannon could work well here. Um, there are plenty good options to go for that, but they are looking for their jungle and top at this moment. A Rel jungle, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to bunch up a lot for the Nico ult. So now it's really just a question of if they can get some any consistent damage and or just something that kind of pulls it all together. But they're kind of flexible in what they can grab there. They can get some more AoE damage. They can get some more, fighter. They can fight for some prio or another tank to get more engaged, but that will leave them a little lower in the damage profile. Because as for CSM, the Ezreal Karma Corki already is pretty good damage across the board. And there we'll see a Maokai, very strong front line.
What if it'll be a Maokai? Yeah, it'll be a Maokai for the jungle, not top. I've seen some Maokais go top, but it's not really something I would
Ooh, we saw the
expect to
hover
see.
for the Renekton ban earlier, so they were feeling that was going to be on the way, but they decided something else was better to ban. So Renekton, very nice with this. He's very good point and click, damage burst. He can take a beating, so if he gets engaged on, he won't die right away. And he's just a pretty safe blindable top most of the time in team play. So Maokai the disengage is really good. That's answered with the Fiora, so they might be looking to split it off, but it definitely feels like they're looking to take 4v4s in that case, and they want to keep someone, one of their frontliners answering Fiora all game so that they can take these fights and get more explosive.
I think I prefer CSM's team a little bit. If I had to make a pick man phase decision off of this, I think they just have a lot more engage and anti-engage options and a little bit stronger burst and sustain going through. But CU Boulder's team, I think Rel has a lot of disruption, so she might be able to hold off any of their potential engages onto their team if possible.
I think Rail's probably going to look more for going in than getting out, I feel, this game, because, they're just outranged for the most part by, as Karma Corki, the only person that can contest them is Caitlyn, but contesting 3 pokers as one is really, really difficult. On top of that, Karma's going to be shielding for so much of the damage as well. So it's going to come down to how explosive these fights can get. If Nico can get onto key targets and if they can clean them up, and as well as if Fiora is going to be playing the split or just invalidates Renekton so much that she can just run over the fights 1v5, delete the front line, and head into the 5v5s, because she can do both, but she's definitely geared more towards being a split pusher, but she definitely, pros have shown time and time again, she can team fight just fine, and we'll see if CU Boulder's capable of pulling that off.
We're just waiting for the delay to go through here in just a moment. Then the game will go ahead and get started. Once again, we thank you guys for tuning in today. This is our 3rd event here at the Lakewood local host event. It's our Lakewood League of Legends tournament series. I think our good friend Alex has been putting this together and has been putting in a lot of work. Our first tournament started out at 8 teams. We're at 16 now, and sadly, we did have to turn a few people away. We did hit capacity on this, so looking to see what our options are going forward. And if you are interested in a tournament like this, definitely stay tuned. We have a Discord. Feel free to join that if you have any questions or interested in signing up. And we hope to see you guys come out sometime.
And those spots do fill up, so make sure the sooner you get in, the more likely you are to get something. It's a lot of fun hanging out and meeting all these people who play the same game we all know and love.
80 players today, and I think, they had some friends and family coming out. We're at a little over 100 people, I think, total, so it's a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, we'll be getting to the game real shortly. I'm expecting 5 points from both teams, but if any team does invade, I expect CSM to take the initiative on that. All right, we got 2 minutes more in the spectator delay. But I definitely, if I felt like how I'd see this game play out, you definitely see Corki Nico might be a very back and forth lane, especially if you see some jungle pressure from Rel. Renekton and Fiora is same as well. I think Ezreal Karma are going to have quite the heavy push in the bot lane in this game. Unless Caitlyn maybe get a really good fight off level 1. But once Ezreal and Karma kind of have that push, it's going to be really awkward for much to be done. Rel's going to have to look for some very aggressive, maybe Hex Flash angles to try to get on them from behind, but they're just really, really safe with Ezreal's E and Karma's speed boost and shields in general, as well as her root. It's hard to lock them down. Um, so they're going to kind of have a perma bot prio, but top lane and mid are where things are probably going to be more exciting for a while. We'll see that Nico's probably a lot more gankable than Corki is, due to Corki's ability to dash pretty far. As well as Renekton and Fiora is probably going to be where all the messy stuff happens this game. It's a pretty back and forth matchup. You can't easily parry a Renekton stun because it comes out so fast, so you kind of have to predict it coming unless you have insane reaction speed. But that kind of, both their Ws are how the solo lane kind of is played around, and then the jungle interaction on top of that. Fiora can be kind of fast to catch, but Maokai Renekton is a lot of lockdown, but same thing on vice versa. If Rel gets under Renekton, then Fiora can just free hit as many procs of her passive and just start melting him with true damage and healing, and it can make it really hard. And I think if Fiora's kind of the key thing for Sea Boulder to get ahead here, because if they can force these 4v4s where Nico and Caitlyn can fight, and they only have Maokai to worry about for frontline, then when they do get that engage on a backline, they can kind of blow it up while Renekton's forced to fight Fiora, who kind of just outscales him all game and will start deleting turrets and just running things down. And if he's forced to answer, she's able to rotate and take 5v4 fights instead, and it can just be really, really, really painful for CSM if Fiora goes ahead. So it's probably you can probably look to see both junglers trying to keep their top lane here ahead so that the other team doesn't have what they want for the game to win. But we're all humans. We see mistakes happen. Something might happen bot. Something might happen mid. You might see something explosive. You might see a 5v5 on the first guppies. You never know. Yep, 20 seconds on the match begins.
Before we get started, a couple questions I have for you. What do you think about a lot of these Season 14 changes? You said that you're having a unique ranking experience, but what do you think about the map, the new jungle, the removal of the mythic items?
I'm glad mythic items are gone. They always felt kind of... so I gotta fix this real quick. They always felt kind of oppressive in terms of just what characters built what. Certain ones like Divine Sun or Gore Drinker were just very... You needed to get it, and you weren't a character until you got it. And then conversely, there was stuff like... We had Prowlers before, but they removed that one where it just kind of removed a lot of the skill expression on characters because you can just guarantee combos with a point and click on characters who didn't have those. Lee Sin was a major example where he would, as some friends of I would call it, the Lee Sin auto combo, where he Prowler's Claw into R and then gets a guaranteed Q, and then you just disappear, and you're like, well, he didn't land anything, he just clicked on me. And Rek'Sai was guilty of the same thing. And then you see the same thing that happened with... I'm forgetting the name. Let me try to... Yeah, we already see a level 1 invade by Fiora. Already chunking down the Renekton. Very low. First blood already on the Fiora. Taking down Renekton, getting 400 gold. Already not a good thing you'd want to see for CSM.
Did expect a little bit more of assistance from Maokai. It seemed like he was just kind of represented as a body, but didn't do too much to try to dissuade Fiora away from that fight.
It's kind of difficult for him to do much there, just because he only really has his autos and one cast of his Q to work with, so after that's down, he can kind of just slap her a little bit, but she does so much more damage early game with her procs and her Q.
Team really wanting to make sure that blue team...
Ooh, and already a steal from Maokai. They're really putting this back and forth, because now CSM got that lead for Fiora, but now Rel's pushed back behind. Maokai's kind of bullying her, but he goes back to clear, and Rel's left very behind on her clear. Well, she's wanting to do something back to him, but he's just zoning her off. She wants to contest his blue buff for the smite, but he is level 2, and that amount of stats is just going to make it very, very difficult. We do see Caitlyn and Emilio getting the first shove in the bot lane. They're getting things pushed on their turrets so that they can get this prio. They don't want to be held under by Ezreal Karma all game. Because they have very little engage once they do, so they'd rather have them push into them than vice versa. Ooh, good Pop Blossom and root from Nico. Good chunk on the Corki. So we do see 3 lanes that got prio on the first couple waves for CU Boulder.
Looks like Red Team really did want to assert an early game advantage. Just kind of forcing pressure in all 3 lanes and even Rel in the jungle, so We'll see if this early aggression, early upfront forward play, kind of nets them that advantage going forward in the next couple levels.
Yeah, no. We see the first reset go off. We see Fiora go back to base. She gets 2 long swords, finally getting to cash in some more of that gold. So we might see some more stuff happening. She might be taking more aggressive trades. As for any other lane, we haven't seen any backs yet. Everyone who has crashed a wave has elected to stay a little longer. Perhaps just not enough gold for any meaningful buy, or they're just waiting for the next objective to be up, or for Scuttle Crab fights. We do see Karma zoning off the Milio and Caitlyn as they take control of the lane. And we start to see what's so oppressive about this lane, just the amount of poke, the reach they have, and then once the minions are going in, you're kind of forced back into a more narrow space, so it's easier for them to land these skill shots. You see on the map, Rel's going for an invade on the Raptors and also might be looking for a flank on the Corki in the mid lane. As we see Renekton slowly try to push out. The Fiora parries his stun, so he takes a good chunk of his health back. But Renekton is slowly pushing out, so it's a very hard way for Fiora to take a fight on, despite her goal lead at the moment. She might be waiting to thin it out before she tries to take a fight in this. See Karma root going off on Caitlyn. Caitlyn does get rooted, but Ezreal cannot follow up. And they start to step up, trying to contest, take back control of the wave. We see Rel gank lands on the Ezreal. Ezreal has no mana. It was just used, but Makai also shows up, and they start to push back. Renekton fighting Fiora in the wave. Fiora gets the parry. We go back to bot lane. Fiora solo kills Renekton off screen. And we see Makai on the Rel. Ezreal throwing Qs. Karma gets the first kill bot lane on Rel. Caitlyn takes down Makai. Karma, Ezreal finishes the Caitlyn. Amelia runs out with half his health bar. Very, very scrappy early game. Not something I expected, considering what was picked. But we're seeing a lot of action in these games. These teams do not want to wait around for things to happen.
Looks like we have bot lane going back, and go ahead and spin that early gold that they just got. Corki, however, trying to stay. He's going to get forced out and have to back this wave, though. There's just no use in risking that low HP. Try to stay in lane a little bit longer.
He does have TP, so he's able to come back, but it definitely is never fun to have your TP forced out, because that's another play later that you could be punished for, because now if you get caught off pushing a wave, they can just take you out, and you'll have to walk the walk of shame.
Looks like Rel is starting grubs here. I'm a big fan of seeing junglers go for early grubs. Obviously, Dragon used to be the big early game, and sometimes Rift Herald, but it seems like a lot of focuses went top. Grubs definitely help with that tower damage early on, and if they're able to get all 3, that is definitely going to help them.
Yeah, and with Fiora already having Tiamat, it's very hard for them to contest it, because Renekton and Maokai can't fight those two by themselves, and Corki's kind of been pushed under by Nico all game, so they really just are uncontested on these grubs. But Maokai's definitely looking to trade for the Dragon and try to get that for his team and give them something on the map to work with. Well, we'll see Fiora just hitting turret, does not care about Renekton. Takes a tower shot, but is just up so much health from all the poke and damage she just gets over him. And this Tiamat just lets her perma-shove the wave into the turret. She has no Divine Sunder to rush. She can just get this wave clear, and that is what she wants.
We have a little bit of burst coming through here. Red team coming out a little bit on top on that trade, but both ADs are fairly weak, and if there's a little bit of jungle presence, either one of those could probably fall fairly easy.
We'll see Renekton try to get a crash off here. He definitely is bleeding out in the top lane. It's a very, very rough lane to be behind with Fiora. But we do see, Karma hitting as much max range poke as she can, Ezreal trying to follow up. Trying to whittle down this Caitlyn so that she's forced to, back off this wave. You see her try to go for the root. She gets the root off. Ezreal hitting as many abilities as he can. Caitlyn does not fall. Flash is coming out both from Karma and Caitlyn. Rel looking to get onto this Ezreal. Karma trying to speed him up to get him out without trying to get caught herself. Kites into the bush. Almost gets the root off on Rel, but is killed by the Q. But Ezreal does snipe Caitlyn, who walks up just to eat that Q for Rel. Now Makai using W to get up. Ooh, Ezreal getting the double kill. It is very unfortunate. We see you, Boulder.
Definitely makes up for the gold that went to Karma earlier in that first kill that she received in the bot lane, and now Ezreal is up an additional 2 kills over their Kate. So
Ezreal almost getting another pick, hitting really with that R, and then almost a Q after that would have been fatal.
Also a pretty decent CS advantage showing up for bot lane on blue side. We're almost up another kill worth of gold on Ezreal there, so we're starting to see a pretty big economy advantage spreading on a bot lane.
I know CU Boulder definitely is going to want to look to, cash out on this Ezreal, try to get some kind of Nico play to, get that money converted back to their team. A lot of burst. Ezreal still is an ADC and does blow up pretty quickly if he's caught out. But with that Karma shielding in hand and Maokai peeling, it's going to be quite difficult to do that. And it's definitely not a character you wanted to get ahead this game.
Conversely, on red team, it does look like Fiora is in a similar position. She's up 2 kills in about 30 CS almost. So she is going to be her own problem. So I believe, we're going to see if blue team wants to commit to their strength on bot side, or if they want to try to stop the bleeding on top side with that Fiora that's in.
We do see CU Boulder invading and contesting Maokai on his cams. He is just down. Fiora able to rotate to everything. Renekton just kind of held in lane. It's very rough for Maokai to do anything on the top side of the map. We do see a ghost pop out from Ezreal during this fight. Must have been a bit scared of the damage that was coming out and wanting to cut it out and potentially run down, but it doesn't look like there was an angle they could use for any of it. Oh, we see the poke coming from Ezreal. The Q whiffs, barely not hitting. It's a very close fight, but Ezreal does get the Q out, but Milio will take down the kill for Ezreal. Something you prefer to go to Caitlyn, but, Caitlyn had already gone down, and Milio just had to finish the job to get something for the team. But that is, a shutdown you probably would prefer on Nico or Caitlyn at that point.
Carried the stun again. However, I do think that might be it for Fiora, unless she's able to
Fiora
disengage.
barely get out, but her team's there to collect the ult for her, keep her up. Nico
her.
ulting on the Maokai. It does look like it is an out angle, but Maokai flashes in, keeps her in, pushes her back. Renekton on the Nico, and the kill goes to Renekton. Getting gold back on CSM, not letting them just be walked over, but Fiora does walk out, living with her 200 gold shutdown, not going over to the team. Definitely more worth it for Nico to go down than Fiora there.
It definitely looks like we're going to go 3 for 3 on grubs, each team getting a full clear here, so that advantage is going to kind of nullify itself. It's just going to depend on who's able to kind of get more pushing power, which I still think is going to, kind of fall into red side with Fiora and her presence up top.
Definitely. We only have 3 couples on both sides, so that means we don't see any more of those little guys the rest of the game. But we do see a TP coming out. Caitlyn popping at Ezreal, blocking her ult with his E. Corgi dashing in. He has package. He's doing as much damage as he can, and Ezreal picking up another kill as Caitlyn. Personally, if I was a Caitlyn, it's never fun to play her from behind. She feels like she can't do anything when she doesn't have that gold lead from plates and just harassing people in lane. So the fact that she's so far behind kind of puts her out of this game for the majority of it. Unless she gets a really good window and she's just kind of going to be playing supplementary damage for the rest of her team this game. We'll see next drag coming up in the next minute, and we'll see both junglers getting in the area. Maokai does have camps to clear. Aurel's pretty much done with her bot side jungle and can show they're quite unspawned, but Corgi does have first move in the mid lane. And Renekton is pushed under turret, so there will be no TP plays unless Fiora decides to go first. But until then, Renekton cannot safely TP without having to trade the rest of his turret to this Fiora. We see Corki and Maokai starting this fight, but Nico is on the behind, scouting out with her clone. We see Karma and Corki engaging on the Rel. The root does come out. Corki gets pulled by the ult.
Big Maokai follow-up.
Gets poken out. We see TP head to bot lane from the Nico. We see a dive in. Nico gets only Karma with the ult. Maokai backing out. Fiora and Renekton both answering with TP. Fiora chasing down the Maokai. Maokai gets picked by the Fiora. She tries to parry the Karma, but can't grab it. Ooh, Karma gets the pick on Fiora. Renekton ult coming out. Diving the Milio. Slowed by the Caitlyn, but Flash W does delete the Milio. And we'll see Nico and Caitlyn under bot tier 1 having to take it back, and the drag going over to CSM.
It's a little bright out today. Specifically for about the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, we got a perfect sun angle through one slit in the roof that is shining right into one of our eyes as we cast this game.
It's definitely sunny today, that's for sure. Actually, it's a really nice day considering it's the middle of January. It's about 50 degrees, sunny, snowed a few days ago, and can't even tell.
Yeah, after having the freezing weather we were having, it's pretty nice to have a pretty a cool but not too cold day.
Probably about as good of a day as you could ask for if you wanted to come out for this event. I think a couple of teams had to drive like about 2.5 hours to get here, so better to do that on a good day rather than a bad day.
Alright, game state's kind of slowed down for a bit. There's no objectives on the map. Everyone's just kind of trying to collect what farm they can, poke out where they can, but nothing too explosive happening in the immediate moment.
Looks like both teams are just trying to farm up. Like you said, nothing eventful happening. Just make sure jungles are cleared, waves are pushed out. Really waiting for our next objective to pop. Still pretty far off from the 20-minute mark, so.
Yeah, so far we only see the Ezreal with 2 items, and one of those being man immune. If he can get that stack before the next major team fight, he might actually be a very, very large threat. Being 6-1 already has made him quite the menace, and while Fiora is doing well in the side lane, Renekton has gotten some gold back in the game. Not quite tied with items, but definitely not as much of a pushover as he was in the beginning of the game.
So we have Rift Herald up. Fiora is in the enemy jungle, just kind of scouting things out, trying to get a vibe on Maokai. And looks like he finds Maokai, but Renekton coming in. So I think Fiora is going to opt to try to disengage in this, but I doubt she's going to fall.
We see Karma once again picking the Caitlyn. They just can't make any plays on this Ezreal in the bot lane. We do see another root coming out as well. Ezreal poking out with as much damage as possible. Rel forced to ult for stats. Emilio blocking the Q. Ezreal diving under turret for this, getting stunned, but does finish off the Rel, and he might be able to catch the Emilio as well. But he is queued away. He might not be able to get in range, and Ezreal stops the chase as we go back to Fiora harassing this Renekton under the top lane.
Looks like Maokai might be wanting to start the Rift Herald here, but there's a lot of enemy vision there, so hopefully he's just trying to get the scuttle and move forward. No, it looks like
and he's starting to take it, but he's getting collapsed by the top of mid. Can he get?
Does not have the support he needs to finish this, though.
Oh, he barely gets it, but he can't get the eyeball. And Renekton can't step up to take it, as he will be ran down by Fiora and Nico if he does dare to try. But he might be looking to get some kind of angle on it to go and grab it.
He's going to have 3 people supporting coming from mid, so I think Renekton is going to be able to go ahead and grab that. I don't think Fiora is going to fall here. Looks like she's able to get out.
We see Renekton immediately opting to pop the eye as Ezreal will try to poke out this Nico. She's already half health, taking quite the beating. And Ezreal almost finishing her off with a W, but Emilio does throw some shields out in time, which may have saved her life. And we see them, start to use pressure. Ooh! Not only can junglers not drive, top laners can't drive either. That Rift is just slammed into a wall and does not get any kind of crash on the second turret. That is unfortunate. Remember, when you do use Rift Herald, you want to right-click the direction you want to go. But there, it still is a bit buggy. It is new, and we know the spaghetti code of this game. It can just mess up sometimes. It does still crash on its own if you don't get in.
The map is really starting to crack open. Red's mid and bot tier 1 are down, and we have Blue's first tier 1 going down in the top lane. Fiora doing what she does best. So looks like we're gonna get a lot more open area here. See what teams can do with it now that they can't retreat to the towers as readily as they were before. Dragon's up. Looks like the blue team's gonna go ahead and try to take this dragon. They're postured for a pretty good spot for this, and looks like they're not really gonna contest it on red side.
And with how much map control CSM can get with all the turrets down. Oh, well, you do see Renekton going on the Fiora. Can get her. She heals for half her health as she finishes her ult procs. And Renekton's forced to run out with his ult burning. But he's just going to be chunked down and taken down by the Fiora with Rel's assistance. Very well played. But yeah, with the turrets down, red side only can play a little bit into the the top side for their map pressure, whereas CSM has so much map control with just wards all over their bot side jungle and the enemy team, and they just can't. They're really safe just to push up and just run back to the jungle because they know they won't be flanked from there.
Looks like Fiora's went ahead and finished her Trinity Force. Maokai caught the top wave there, but Fiora looks like she's heading back and might try to start positioning for the tier 2 tower shortly if we don't see a lot of blue rotating up to try to stop her. Oh, looks like she's going into their jungle instead.
Ezreal is getting very close to finishing his mana immune. He already hurts a lot now, but he's going to start doing a lot more damage once that's complete. So he'll get a bunch more AD from all the mana that he has gotten from that item. And all in time before Soulcon comes up. With that 2k gold lead, it might not seem like much, but definitely the just amount of power that's put into this Ezreal, it really puts an all or nothing for CU Boulder to have to pick down this carry to be able to, win the fight. They're having a lot of difficulty given how safe he is and how much Karma can do for him. You see Corki having to flash out with Fiora engaged on and popping her ult before she tries to crash this wave, but CSM's team is moving in the area to answer as Renekton gets some free hits in the top turret as Nico moves in to answer. You see Maokai ult coming on the bot lane, parried by the Fiora. But he does flash W, cues Fiora back into their team. Fiora tries to go in the Corki, it's just rooted forever. She cannot move. Rel trying to do what she can to save, but Ezreal comes in, gets another kill, a shutdown even. He's so far ahead in gold, it is insane.
We're going to be fighting for Soul here in a little bit. 3 dragons for blue team currently.
You see Renekton attempt to dive the Nico, but that ult just holds him in place for so long. He just gets taken down by the turret and the ult combo.
Gonna get the blue team getting the bottom tier 2 turret. Really pinching red team in, minus Fiora. I don't think Fiora is going to really be in that position to really be able to fight the entire blue team. The rest of the red team, the rest of red team really hasn't gotten the farm, the gold that they need to really contend with the other lanes right now.
Yeah, it's hard for Fiora to take a split push because her team just can't survive without her. They don't have the ability to take the 4v4. I don't think Nico has the damage to take down an Ezreal through a Karma. And in fact, on that too, she doesn't have the flash to force an engage for the next minute. And maybe once that's up, they might be able to make a play and make a flip on this Ezreal. If they can nap that shutdown, they might have a way to get back into this game. If they can get a Baron before CSM can take this Drag Soul. And Mount Soul's just going to make it so much harder to deal with this Ezreal. We'll see Fiora ult coming down on the Renekton. He's already half health. He's just being deleted by this champion. The true damage is just too much, and Fiora deletes him. CSM will be forced to make a choice. Renekton going down here just adds so much pressure to the map. CSM decides to immediately start taking the Baron. This could get messy for CSM. If this fight goes bad at all, Fiora may just end the game, but Fiora elects to TP instead and contest this Baron. Nico ult coming out, knocking up both the Karma and Maokai. She runs out as Fiora tries to get in the flank angle. They are kiting backwards. Ezreal throwing Qs like crazy. Maokai ult coming out. Karma getting burst so much by Nico. Is killed by the Storm Surge. But Rel also falls to the Ezreal and Corki as CU Boulder is forced to back out. And now CSM can go back and start taking the bear again. I do not believe it was the play to TP to answer as Fiora. I think she had the perfect opportunity to split and do some major damage to CSM's base, while they could have still fought and looking for the steal with Nico on this Baron play. But now it looks like the Baron gets close. Nico's close, but does not get the smite. Maokai does finish off the Baron, and they walk out. Ezreal gets engaged on. Shutdown going to Fiora. Ooh, Fiora getting 2 kills. They might actually get ran down and punished on this. It was kind of, did not have the tempo. They barely got the picks off, and everyone just was on respawn with teleport and were able to come back. We're seeing some damage out. Ooh, Corki falls as well. Maokai picks the Caitlyn though, but Maokai may also go down, and that might be 4 of the 5 Baron buffs gone. Now Karma's the only one remaining with it, and a massive gold swing in favor of Fiora. We were at a 3k gold lead for CSM, and now that gold lead is down to about 1k. That is a lot of gold back in the favor of CU Boulder.
And it looks like they're also going to get this dragon to stop blue team from getting Soul, so it's a huge swing for red team here.
A very, very risky Baron play from CSM, knowing that this Drag Soul is coming up. They could have just waited it out and played for this fight and definitely taken it. Especially with Renekton having it get picked in the first place. It was very dicey in the first place. And after having won that first fight, I think it was definitely a reset moment for their team. and just to play the next neutral objective.
Imagine they felt that they probably needed that Baron buff to try to secure the soul, which is, probably to them what they thought was worth it. But ultimately, they did get the Baron, which plan did go according to the way they wanted. But Red Team's follow up just didn't allow them to keep it.
Yeah, now we're seeing the pen coming out on Nico. She has 2 items on her belt. She'll start doing a lot of damage as Ezreal. He doesn't have anything tanky. He might want to opt for something to, make it harder for them to just free pick him if they manage to get that flash R off later in the game, and or any other kind of engage where she can get in. But now Fiora 9-2, 3 items under her belt. Renekton is just going to be ran over, having to answer her, and you can see him sitting under bot tier 2, knowing that he can't even step up against this menace. Waiting for the wave to come in as Sea Boulder starts to push in the mid wave.
Fiora almost getting the bot tier 2 tower by herself under tower with Renekton hitting her, so looks like Nico's able to help finish it off, and Renekton's going to fall. Once again, Maokai hoping to try to turn that around just a little bit, maybe stop the disengage, or stop the engage. Also the team trying to just peel out and see if they can reduce the damage done. They do have some Baron minions, can kind of help them push out a little bit, reduce the pressure on their side.
Yeah, that Karma Baron buff definitely is preventing them from getting anything more for that bot tier 3 because the Baron minions are just too strong, take too long to clear. And Ezreal does finish off atop tier 2 and is able to reset and show up in the area. This game can still swing in either way. We do have SoulCon still up for CSM. We do see a lot of gold for the split push for Sea Boulder, and there's no one that can answer this Fiora alone, and it's going to be very, very difficult to deal with, as she can just show up in the side lane and demand so much attention from CSM. And it kind of puts a time limit on any play that CSM tries to make this game.
Red Team's really starting to get that momentum back. With the help of Fiora, they're almost even on towers. They are still behind on 1, the tier 2 top. And I think the other lanes have kind of stopped the bleeding. It looks like Caitlyn, while she's still behind on farm and still behind on kills, she is able to start getting her footing. Nico is also, looks like a little bit ahead on Quirky, about 2 kills worth on gold. And Rel is also starting to kind of hold her own as well. Caught up on her build and is actually a little bit ahead on Maokai. So the early bottom lane dominance of Ezreal is, I think, starting to fall off. And Fiora, her momentum plus the rest of her team kind of catching up and staying even. I think we're going to start seeing Red Team really start to try to close out this game shortly.
We do see Corki opting for a Hextech alternator over, I think, an Eclipse Rush. I believe the build does go Eclipse, though, because it causes a insta-proc on Eclipse when Malignance procs on any of his rockets, but perhaps Corki's just trying to pivot for something else. Feels they need a different type of damage to be going in. We'll see CSM grouped in the mid lane. They might be looking to, just pressure an area, get this mid push in, and, play the front to back because they know their Ezreal is strong. They know their Corki's at 2 items. Aurel does flash the wall behind, gets on the Karma, but does not get the Ezreal. Ezreal's just going to start throwing Qs at her like crazy. She's rooted, and she's deleted by the team's focus as Fiora, once again, TPs to try to answer this fight, and Renekton matches to follow suit.
I think at this point, Renekton really cannot not answer Fiora's teleport. Just letting her in there in a 5v4 situation is just asking for your team to fall over. So I think they're just going to have to match teleport for the rest of the game here.
Honestly, Renekton's pretty content doing it, though, because as long as he just has to be where Fiora is and he doesn't have too much to worry about himself, he just, can't take any more risks, can't step up too far, because Fiora will run him down if he goes too far out. Fiora does go in on the Renekton, cast ult, Renekton does walk out. She only gets 2 procs of her ult for having to back off, as they can just kite backwards and just throw skill shots back at where they're running from like crazy. We will see next drag spawning in less than a minute, and both teams will be looking to do it. We see Renekton and Maokai taking their resets in preparation to do it, as well as Corki to see if they get anything else on the board in their pockets so they can try to secure this soul.
I don't know that Maokai being part of the front line, I don't think it was the wisest decision to continue to stay here. He's going to be low, they'll pop him pretty quickly here.
We do see Fiora secure the Scuttle Crab, so they do have vision of most of the river for this fight. And we'll see Corki kind of caught below, but he does get to use his package to move and get out of the way. As we see them trying to finish this dragon, trying to get the soul. Rel's walking up, trying to get the smite. Ooh, and Rel does get the steal, and that is a team wipe for CU Boulder. As they chase down Maokai, the last one. Nico and Caitlyn moving into mid, looking to end the game off of this play, as Maokai cannot get away, and a quadra kill goes to Fiora, or Sifang Pao. I hope I didn't butcher that. They have 20 seconds till Karma spawns, and even more for the rest of the team. They should have the damage to be able to take this. They have the wave. They have the damage. They should be able to end game here, or get very, very close to doing so. We see Inhibitor go down, and they go towards turrets. 5 seconds on Karma, 10 seconds on Ezreal. They do not have anyone spawning with the wave clear. They will all be hitting the Nexus. The game is over, and that is a win for CU Boulder, winning the tiebreaker.
Congratulations to you, Boulder. I believe we'll go ahead and see what the next matchup is for us here in a moment. That was well played on both ends. And yeah, we'll be right back once we find out what our next match is. So just hang tight.
Hello, hello. We do have a interview with the Rel from last game, Boss Law and Jungle, since you're the Boss fan. What name do you go by?
I go by Alan.
All right, well, nice to meet you, Alan. How do you feel that game went for your team?
It was definitely up and down. We were losing, I think, by like 10k gold, and then we came back, and it was just exhilarating.
You know, we saw Ezreal got up to in the early to mid game, he had like a 6 kill lead. He was up a lot of gold. He had 2 items way before anyone else did. How did your team kind of play around that knowledge? You know, you had all this gold on Ezreal, and the only really player in your team that was in a really good spot was your Fiora at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we came to a conclusion as a team that I should not go bot lane and only play for top, and slowly just went through top.
You know, it was quite a lot of damage. You guys would just invade that Maokai. You did not give him space to breathe in this Renekton. Just if he walked up anywhere, he just disappeared so fast.
100%.
You could see him later in the game. He would just be sitting at bot tier 1 while Fiora's clearing bot wave at like the middle of the lane. He's just too afraid to go anywhere because he's learned. He's walked too close to the sun so many times. He just gets, burnt so much.
Exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, just anytime, we saw, like, when you go by, you just see Ezreal just do so much damage. You try to get a pick on him, but Karma Ezreal's just such a safe lane. And that Soul Con, too. They were stacked to 3 drags. They got so close. Where do you think, the game, what play do you think got you guys back into the game?
Oh, definitely. That is a great question. Honestly, it was pretty tough until the last one, where we just got a great pick in the back line where Nico Henry hit his ult, and I was able to steal the dragon, which was honestly another big factor, which is why we just came back, and we were just, it was amazing. Great feeling.
It was definitely great for that second drag you stole. And I honestly think the play before you had on the Baron, that was such a scrappy fight on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like it could have been anyone's game at that moment.
Yeah, that was, I got picked early. Team was, I'm so glad for their amazing team. We kept it together, and, through thick and thin, we were able to pull the game together.
Yeah, it definitely felt like on the enemy team, I felt CSM just kind of, after that first Baron fight, they got the win. Instead of just trying to finish it, they reset and played for that Drag Soul. I think it'd be a way better spot because you're already having issues with the Ezreal, and if he became, that 300 health shield, just way more that Unico has to get through, and it just becomes a lot harder to, get that burst off on the Ezreal. But it definitely seemed like you're, with your team out, did you call it all for your Fiora to just, group a lot more instead of staying on the side lane?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? You said.
Yeah, with your team fighting too, you guys had Fiora rotate a lot. Was that a lot of something called for your game that you wanted her to, join in these fights a lot more because of the girl instead of trying to, run down the side lane and fight, forcing this 4v4 with that really strong Ezreal?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, that question is.
Sorry, it is a lot.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, just super happy I won the game. I appreciate all the people in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you for interviewing me. I really appreciate
no problem.
it.
Well played.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good
Have a great
games.
rest of your day.
You too.